Okay, so Madeline came to an agreement with them that they could live on her property, and horse log it. She did want it logged, portions of it. She didn't want it cut down, stripped, any of that. And they came to an agreement, and then she said that the story was that she sold 85 acres to Rusty, and the other 100 acres, I don't know, it might be 97, whatever it is. Judy and Dell wanted to buy it from her, and she said no, but if you build a house, okay, you can build a house, and you build me a house, you can live in your house, and if I predecease you, it becomes yours. And I always thought, man, this is a great deal, man. What a good way to, I mean, not just come up with $500,000 and you buy a property. It's, to work yourself to it. And he did, man. They cleared it. That's a great horse camp. I would have loved to have had a horse and go up to the horse camp. It's, you know, what they've done. And they did build her a house. And, she had, this thing with them. But, okay. So she had people taking care of her property while she's in Kodiak, Alaska. She can kind of rest easy. They're logging it. They're making money. She's getting checks on a regular basis. It's, seems on the up and up. I imagine that her and Dell sat down, occasionally and went over finances and what they're going to do and all that stuff. But, Dell was essentially in charge of the property. And so Madelyn comes up and the property is cleared of everything. And she is fucking pissed. And she goes to Dell and Judy, calls them together and said, what the fuck, what happened to my forest? Because she doesn't want view, she wants forest. And Dell said, oh, I guess the lumber company, the logging company, I guess they got, carried away and just took everything. And, it was in the contract, they just to, thin it out. It wasn't to take everything. And Dell, just like my mom, made justifications and excuses about that. Oh, I must not have been paying attention that day. Oh, there is fucking nothing that's happened on that property since they started swindling Madelyn that is not under Dell's thumb. It was Dell all the way. I mean, Dell fucking cleared that forest of Madelyn's. I mean, that motherfucker. Madelyn. What did she call it? She had an agreement with them, but it had a special name. I'll remember it. And a codicil. That's what she called it. She had a codicil with them that, they do all this and she does that or lets them. And her friend, Pat Jacobson in Kodiak, Madelyn would jump on the phone, put it on speaker because it was easier for her to hear. And, they're talking about Dell and Judy. And Pat Jacobson goes, man, that's 5 or 6 times that they've broken the codicil. I'd have kicked them off the first time. And Madelyn never would. She just had it set in her mind that nothing was ever going to make her kick them off her property. Not even that Judy tried to poison her. I kicked myself that I moved her back up in that environment. John, come on, didn't you see that? You find out somebody tried to kill her and you're going to take her up there? It's all she wanted was to go home. That's all she wanted. To go to her house and live in her house, drink, smoke cigarettes, and finish out her days. I think that first time I walked up to Madelyn and offered my arm going into that biopsy, I think she knew she was going to die then. She never said it, but I think she knew. She knew it was... So anyway... I can't believe I'm finally telling this story. This is the most I've said about everything in one sitting. You know what I mean? It's been more than one sitting, but to be able to go through it, I did not want to relive it. I was terrified. I didn't realize how much fear I was in because I would just suppress it when... taking care of Madelyn, that's all I cared about. I didn't care about anything else. And I think that helped save me too, that these people saw that, it was nothing else I did. They tried to provoke me and nothing I did, man. It was just like my mom trying to provoke me, man. Oh, John, we got to get along if we're going to be neighbors. And it's like, well, what they're doing is they're placating you. They're softening you up. they're setting you up for when, you know, you go, okay, we're friends, or, you know, they're human beings anyway, and they fucking pull the rug out from under you in some other fashion again. I mean, that's their MO, man. That's how them people work, man. I grew up with my mom with that, and I was like, nothing new to me, man, what these people did. And that's like, I just rolled right with it and, you know, walked a fine line and came out the other side, man. And they, you know, I kicked their ass. And it's been kind of sweet, you know. I miss Madelyn. I wish, you know, Charlie said to me, you know, I'm so angry at these people, and that nobody's going to do anything about them. There's a murdering family up on that hill, and nobody's going to do anything. Nobody believes me, you know. Nobody. What can you do, though? I have absolutely no proof. You know, I'd like to get them to say, well, John Gale this, and I go, okay, well, let's get under some lie detector tests and let's ask some questions. You know, I mean, I have no doubt that Rusty Sage killed Mirsad Sarek. You know, that I kind of was a little bit racist with you know, the first off, you find out somebody's Muslim, and that just kind of, you know, that's a whole different world that we don't even understand, you know, I think. Madelyn, you know, it's like one of my customers said in my pool business. He was from Germany, and he was married to a lady from Taiwan, and she was Buddhist, but she was like not practicing Buddhist. And he goes, it's just like any other religion. I mean, you know, what do they call them? Jack Mormons. My dad, when he lived there, you know, the people are just, yeah, they're Mormon, but yeah, you're Christian, but how do I get off on that tangent? I came out at Harrison Hospital. I think I spent 2 nights in Paulsbo at the hotel there, motel, Paulsbo Inn, whatever. David, he said I'd given David 2 of my credit cards that had no balance on them, and said, hey, get my kids here. You know, there was enough for all of them to get flown in. And, you know, he said he got a hold of Alicia, and when he said that, I love you, Alicia, but I knew that you weren't the one to put that together, what I needed. I thought I needed my kids there. I did need my boys there. I knew that I would be safe if my boys were there. God, these people were going to kill me. I was so afraid that first week. You know, and I went down, on Friday after Madelyn died. I took the ferry over to Seattle, walked up 3 blocks to the FBI building. I walk in, guy says that you have to have an appointment, that you can't get in without an appointment. And I'm going, I want to report a murder on the Kitsap or the Olympic Peninsula. And he's like, no, you have to call this number. He had a, you know, little tear out, you know, piece of paper he gave me, and he was pretty cool actually, but you know. So, Clallam County Sheriff isn't going to help me. Sequim Police isn't going to help me. I'd like to see my file on both those guys. Some free clinic can't help me. End up in Harrison Hospital, where they, you know, fixed my last heart attack. I survived because of them. They didn't help me. It was $6,000. My portion in it was like $580 or something, and the insurance paid $5,000 for me to sit in that room for those hours. That was a waste of money. I hope someday to have an attorney and go after Harrison Hospital for what they did to me. So Harrison Hospital isn't going to help me. The FBI isn't going to help me. I called the Bosnia embassy, and it was interesting because I got the voicemail of the ambassador. You know, it said, you reached the ambassador, what his name is, I'm sorry. And I left a message saying, you know, Mirsad Sarek, a Bosnian foreign national, man, was sent home a suicide. And I said, he did not commit suicide. He was murdered by Rusty Sage. And I never heard back from them. It's like, oh well, oh fucking Dell. Codicil, getting kicked off. I'll get into the next door neighbor squatter named Jen, but Dell had borrowed this excavator, one of those great big ones. I mean, you know, it takes a wide load past, you know, the front truck and the behind truck to haul around. And they have that barn there. It was parked right in front of there. And I go down one day and there's just puddles of oil. And I'm right in the middle of my math. And I'm like, you know, 5-foot radius, which means they're 10 feet across. I don't know why they would say 10 feet across. But anyway, there's like 4 or 5 puddles like that, 10 feet across. And I've changed enough oil in my life. I know what oil on top of water looks like. And this was straight oil. And the next day or two, he went and he had all this, you know, equipment stuff. He could do anything out there. You know, he was ripping tree roots out with this excavator. It was cool watching him, you know. But the next day, you know, he made channels so this shit would drain off down into the stream and the local water supply, you know, down in the groundwater. And I realized that there's like, you know, 15 of those Dello cases in the dumpster. And this motherfucker drained the excavator right there on the ground. I'm like, that just, you know. After Madelyn died, I had a friend of mine. I was on this CSR2. I love that game. And he was some type of inspector for this state of Montana that went out and checked, you know, these types of toxic spills and shit. And I was telling him about this, and I'm going, you know, I'll report it, but I don't want it just to go, you know, somewhere like everything else. These people around here don't get me, don't believe me, don't trust me, don't, you know, listen to what I have to say. I don't want it to just go down the rat hole and it never comes back up, you know, and nothing ever gets done. And so he gave me the name of his counterpart in the state of Washington, you know, that does exactly what he was doing. And I reported them. You know, I called her up and I said, this is what, you know, approximate dates. This is what I saw. This is what he did. And this chick calls me back. This lady calls me back a couple days later, and she's asking me some questions, and I'm going, you know, that's going to be my property, and you have my permission to go up there and search, because if he does shit like that, I mean, he's one to just do something and walk away and go, I'll take care of this tomorrow, you know, and there'd be shit all over that place, you know, that they could find. And I haven't heard anything since. And but I know that they had the environmental people, man, come knocking on the door. So, you know, now you fuck with John Gale, man. It's like when Pat Jacobson said I'd have kicked them out the first time they broke the codicil, I went, you know, amen, sister. And Madelyn wouldn't kick him out, and she knew that, or they knew that. You know, she'd said it loud enough. And I think one of the things that killed Mersad was Madelyn said he was real vocal about, when are you going to get them sages off the fucking property? Get them out of here. And I imagine, you know, he was an officer. He could carry his voice, and I bet they heard that. And so they're going, you know, oh, we got to do something about this, you know, and they did. But Madelyn said that he made no bones about them. I got a red blinking light on here. I wonder if it means my battery's going down. All right. I didn't want to talk about this because I didn't want to relive it. I haven't been wanting to relive it, but I hope you watch me sometime. But this guy Trucks kind of, you know, when I started watching some of his videos and what he's doing and how he's talking, and I went, you know what, I've tried to sit down and write this out, and I can't. I don't have the patience. I can't just sit. And so I figured doing this, you know, I'll be able to get my story out. Maybe my grandkid can meet me in some way that I, you know, didn't have the chance to with my ancestors. Yours too, but, you know. Tell my kids where I've been, what I've done. You know, thank you for everything you taught me. You know, I'm a caregiver deep down in my soul, because I was unlike those other fathers who just handed the kids off to mom and said, you know, you raise them. You do the stuff, man. You needed something. It needed to be done. It didn't need to be handed off to mom to be done. It needed to be done right now. And I don't know. I just did that. Not consciously, but I just did that, you know. I remember coming home one time, and Madison was in her high chair, and had food all over her, was wet, dirty diaper, and Alicia's taking care of her, and she wasn't always that attentive. And just, going, oh man, and just getting you up, throwing you in the bathtub, getting you warm because you were cold, getting you dressed nice and warmly, getting you taken care of, cleaning you up. I just, you guys taught me all that. You babies, man, of course your mom was around, but you got a little older. It's, every one of you, healed my heart from Elena. Every one of you had a part to play in that and bring me back from Elena. That ripped my world apart. It was my fault. Misty thinks she left the back door unlatched or open or something. We had, child locks and shit, and those little things that twirl on the handles and stuff. And, I didn't even realize, or maybe Elena was big enough to open that door, So, Misty can say, yeah, if I'd have done this, she'd be alive, and that's, possibly, but definitely if I'd taken the ladder out of the pool, she could still be running around it. If I'd have latched the gate, number one rule, take the ladder out, latch the gate, and I didn't do it that Friday night. She got out that Saturday morning. And the world went topsy-turvy after that. That was... surprised me my marriage survived through that, and it surprised me I stayed sober through that. I did stay sober through that. Didn't drink. I mean, what better excuse does a person have?